Cylons. The Cylons are a form of robots, okay, and they don't like the human being, so they decide to wipe them out of their planetary systems. And well, those are those people, okay, from the Battlestar Galactica. They are the remains of the human of that system, and they're looking for a new place to live and have peace. And the only place this place exists, well, it's on Earth, which is very far from their system. And well, the episode is based on their quest for the planet Earth.
Okay, Frank, when did this series air?
Well, the series aired in 1978 and 1979.
Do you know what station it was on?
It was in ABC.
On ABC.
And NBC also played the series.
Really?
Yeah, NBC played the series.
Okay, now, when you watched it, was it in English or did you watch the French version of it?
Well, it was the French version, but I still remember that it was playing on NBC on Sunday nights.
On Sunday nights.
And well, on the French channels, it was playing around 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon.
Well, you see, for Battlestar Galactica, it's a show that I never actually watched, which is kind of odd because I was a youngster. I was always into science fiction and stuff like that, but I never watched it. I don't think my attention span would allow me to watch something for an hour on television. But who are some of the more notable stars from the show?
Well, the most notable star you would have Dirk Benedict, who also played in the A-Team and a couple of movies. You also have Lorne Greene, who was famous for the famous series Bonanza,
okay,
and for also his animal wildlife program.
Okay.
You also have Richard Hatch and Jane Seymour, who play Dr. Quinn Medicine.
Oh, I did not know that. Do you know what their characters were, or?
Well, their characters. Okay, Lorne Greene was playing Commander Adama.
Okay.
He was a big leader in the galaxy, all the planets, the console. Richard Hatch was Captain Apollo.
Okay.
Dirk Benedict was Lieutenant Starbuck. And Jane Seymour, she was playing a human person, just a civilian.
Okay. Now we're going to go to a commercial, but before we do that, Frank is going to introduce a clip for all of you to enjoy. Frank?
Well, this clip is a clip from which I like. It's the Cylon, and well, they have a couple of fights, and you can see some explosion, and at the same time, it can give you a view of the special effect used at that time.
Thank you, whoever that was. My pleasure. Captain, on your left wing.
Destroy the control center to neutralize the anti-assault batteries. Secure the fuel depot.
Okay, welcome back from the commercial. And now, as is the custom on that weird thing, we're going to go to the weird feature. And this week on the weird feature, my co-host will be me. Take it away, me. Thanks, me, and welcome to the weird feature. In a previous episode of that weird thing, we mentioned Star Wars collectibles, and today my good buddy Frank is going to show us some of his prize collection. And so, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my good buddy Frank.
Well, just like James said a bit earlier, I'll show you my Star Wars collection. Well, first of all, recognize that all the Star Wars merchandise are basically toys and mugs and all that. I'll show you my toys. Come in. Well, first of all, here we have the Ewok Village that we see in Return of the Jedi. We also see glasses made from Burger King and some models. Here on the wall you have the vehicle of Boba Fett, Slave One, plus some puzzles and drawings that I made. And also here, well, Those are pretty rare toys that Kenner did. Those are 12 inches Star Wars figures. There's a lot of them on the market, but they're pretty rare. And these are my other toys, like the Hat Walker, a Snowspeeder. This is a model kit, Darth Vader collector's case. And well, since I didn't have room enough in my room, well, I decided to hang my spaceships on the ceiling. That way it gives them a more cuter effect. As for here, well, everybody recognized the Millennium Falcon, followed by the X-Wing fighter, which I got from flea market. And here in that corner, well, I don't know if you can see, but this thing is the Death Star. Used to be made in 1978-79. It's also one of the nicest toys that Kenner had created. And just to tease some collectors, well, this is the Emperor still in the package. They say that the Emperor wrote at least $45 now on the collector's price, if it's not more. Speaking of other action figures, well, on this side you can see my action figures. Well, as you can see, the action figures, we pretty recognize Chewbacca, Han Solo, Princess, and Luke. We can also recognize some alien that we saw in Return of the Jedi, and some other figures like C-3PO removable limb, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, IG-88, Princess Leia disguised as Bush the Bounty Hunter, and the R2. Well, basically the whole collection stands on pretty much they are toys, which I collect. And well, if you look here, this is a miniature set. It was called the Star Wars Micro Sets. All the figures, which are made of steel, reflect some scene from the movies like Empire Strikes Back. Unfortunately, this collection was they let it go because it didn't sell much. As for here, you can see Jabba the Hutt and his court of monsters, like an alien named Bib Fortuna. Here you have Sice Noodle and Rebo Band. And right here we have something that just came out on the market. It's the Micro Machines sets. Well, these are the vehicles, and also have one of another playset, like this one, the Death Star playset. That's pretty much of my Star Wars collection.
Hello again. Now that Frank's given you the general tour, now I'm going to talk to him about a bit more in detail about his collection. Okay, Frank.
Yep.
In total, you've shown us a lot of stuff here. How much do you think you spent on the toys part of your collection?
Well, at least I'd say 200 to 250.
200 to 250. That's total.
That's total, basically total.
That's interesting because most collectors these days, I've heard, spend around $200 for one item, and you got a lot. So you must be pretty happy that you got a pretty good deal there.
Yeah, pretty happy.
So, what would you say is your most prized collection in your whole room?
My prize collection. I'd say I would have two things that I really that bring some great things to for myself. The joy of possessing those toys, man.
Yeah.
It's the first one is the 12 inches Boba Fett.
Right.
Because well, it's been a long time that I was looking for one, and I finally got one. And the other things, I would say, my action figures collection.
Now, I happen to know that you're only missing one more action figure, and you've got the original 77 action figures that were released.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm only missing one figure. It's the TIE Pilot, but in a week or two, I'm gonna have it.
Oh, that's pretty good. Now, after that, all you need are the Power of the Force, but those are mighty expensive. So I doubt you'll be getting those anytime soon. Am I correct in assuming that?
Well, you're assuming right. I'll try to have at least one or two of these figures, but sadly, I'll have to stop my collection.
What would you say is the one thing that you spent the most money on?
I think I spent most money on. Pretty tough to say. I'd say my. It's an action figures. It's in its package. It's the Emperor. It cost me $25.
Okay.
So this is one that cost me the most.
Which is quite interesting because you figure that the action figures at the time when they were first released were the least expensive to buy, and so now it's probably one that cost them the most money. Of course, the stuff that you got, and I got some stuff very similar, was mostly bought by people who didn't know any better, and who didn't know that they were collector's items and sold them for dirt cheap. But now the people are starting to wisen up, and people are going to see them and say, hey, I'll be willing to pay $30 for that one action figure, and you go, and they'd be fools not to take it, right? So, but other than your toys, is there anything else that you have that you're mighty fond of?
Well, it's you might have seen it. It's on my bed sheets and for my pillows, Star Wars pillows. That's really cool.
Yeah, you're sleeping with Star Wars every night, isn't that? Yeah, anyway, moving on. Okay. Now you also, I'm a role player and I play the Star Wars role playing game, but you also have some role playing stuff. And seeing as we're at your house right now, it'd be easier for you to show your stuff than for me to show mine. So why don't you show them some of the books that are in the Star Wars role playing game collection?
Well, at least I'll show you two of these books. Okay.
These ones are. This one's in French, by the way. I have it in English, which is much better. Anyway, speak.
Okay. Well, this one is the Imperial Guide,
Right.
which we get all kinds of information on the Empire, plus some other troops like the Snow Trooper, the Storm Troopers, and
All of the really cool stuff.
they talked about the Emperor and all kinds of weapons.
Right.
This one is the Rebel Alliance source book, which is in English.
Yeah, well, I have it in English too, and
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
But we'll let Frank talk about it.
So this one talks. It's the same type as the Imperial source book, but this time it's about the rebellion. They talk about the birth of the rebellion. They talk about the politics of the rebellions, also the weapons they have and how they get supplied to fight against the Imperials. And here, well, I have another source book. It's the Star Wars source book. This is basically they talk about the weapons, the spaceship, character, alien. This, I'd say, for the role-playing game, this is the second most important book that you have to buy after the rule book, because they have all kinds of information, and it's pretty useful if you want to play the game.
Okay, now how about the comic books, which I also have, but he has them here, and it's, as I said, it's easier for him to show you his than to...
Comic books. Well, I don't really have a big collection to compare to you, James, but I have some interesting things if I can get them out. Like, well, this one is a Marvel comic. It was pretty cheap, but I liked it because of the cover, and also they were talking about one of my favorite characters, Boba Fett.
Ah, yes, Boba Fett.
This is the French adaptation of the Return of the Jedi. You put it in 2 books. And, well, I don't know if you had recognized this, but it's the Dark Empire series. They have six comic books of the Empire coming back again to fight. This is after Return of the Jedi. And this one is also another series. It's Dark Empire 2. Yeah, the Emperor came back again to get vengeance and all that. And
You just don't know when to stay dead.
yeah, that's the thing. So that's a.
I'm gonna have to read those ones because I don't have those ones. I didn't have the money to buy them, so
So it's another series of 6
six comics.
comic books, which is pretty interesting. And well, I have something to say to show again. it's a small pop-up book. It's pretty cool. The thing that they made. This is in French, although. But, the concept is pretty cool.
Ew, French! No, I'm just kidding, French people. I'm French myself, although you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Anyways, look at the book.
So they made some kind of things like pop-up books and all that, which is pretty cool. I've never found one like this, and this one it's a special book because I haven't seen one of these books, except this one. I haven't seen other books. So basically, that's my
This is your...
collection.
What did you just brush away?
No, it was nothing. It was just
Oh, okay. Just the bad spread. I'm just trying to embarrass him on national television. Okay. Well, thank you for coming and letting us into your room and showing us all this wonderful stuff. And I guess now would be a great time to return to me and Frank in the actual interview segment of the show, which is just about as entertaining, I guess. I hope. Well, bye. Thanks, me. You brought it back just in time for the music video of that weird thing. This week, Return of the Jedi is the song, Star Wars is the theme. Let's go to it. hope you enjoyed the video. And just to keep you from getting bored, now we're going to show you some more clips so that you know what we're talking about. And now, Frank, you're going to introduce our first clip, which will be followed immediately by a commercial, and then we'll come back to you. So, Frank, next clip.
Well, this clip, okay, is taken from the Battlestar Galactica, the movie. And, well, we can see that Cylon's getting shot. And, well, I like the way that the Cylon explode, and you can see it. Watch it.
He's into explosions.
J'en sais rien. De la part du commandeur Adama.
Well, that's about it for this week. I'd like to thank Frank for coming in to talk about Battlestar Galactica, which is relying on his memory a lot because it hasn't been on for quite a while. But I'd also like to thank my friend Chris, who chipped in and helped out on this show. You're not going to get to see him because I don't want the camera to break. But anyways, all I can say it was really fun doing this from Shonian. The set was a lot more comfortable, but we'll be back to the old studio next time. So until then, see ya.
See ya.